Welcome to the deep dive. Ever think about how a book, just paper and ink, right, could become something? Well, something more.
More how?
Like a massive cultural icon, or even a political weapon, a symbol you recognize instantly just by its color and size.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going.
Yeah, something carried by millions, defining a whole period in history.
Definitely happens.
Well, today, that's exactly what our deep dive is about. Quotations from Chairman Mao Tse-tung, which pretty much everyone knows as the Little Red Book.
The Little Red Book, right. An incredible story.
So our mission today is to really unpack this thing. We want to look at where it came from, the huge immediate impact it had, and, its legacy, which is complicated.
Absolutely, there's a lot there.
And we're basing this on the source material you shared, which looks at it as both, a political tool and this major cultural artifact.
Yeah, we've got excerpts from the book itself, plus analysis reviews, looking at its historical and cultural weight.
Okay, so, the Little Red Book. Where do we even start? What is it fundamentally, and how did it explode onto the world stage like it did?
That's the key question, isn't it? At its heart, it's pretty simple. A collection of quotes. Political philosophical thoughts from Mao Zedong.
The founder of the People's Republic of China.
Exactly. It first came out in 1964. But the truly amazing part is how fast it went from just a book of quotes to, well, one of the most printed books ever.
Wow.
So especially during the Cultural Revolution in China, that decade from 66 to 76, it was ubiquitous.
And it wasn't just random quotes thrown together, right? There was a logic to it.
Oh, absolutely. It's organized. 33 chapters covering all sorts of things: class struggle, revolution, the idea of self-reliance, the party's role. And Mao's words weren't meant to be like abstract theory. They were presented as practical instructions, guidelines for totally reshaping Chinese politics and society.
And you can't ignore the look of it, the object itself, its symbolic power.
No way. That small size, the bright red cover, instantly recognizable. But it's more than just looks.
How so?
It became this physical manifestation of state ideology. It was mandatory reading. Soldiers, students, factory workers, everyone had to study it.
Everyone.
Pretty much. So carrying it, quoting from it, that wasn't just personal belief. It was a public performance of loyalty, a symbol you were on board with the communist cause.
Okay, so here's where I find it gets really interesting. This idea of it being a double-edged sword. On one side, it offered this apparently clear vision, almost like a manual for building a new China. But how did those exact things, its strengths, also become its weaknesses?
That's a great way to put it, because its power, and maybe its danger, was in that simplicity. Its directness.
Okay.
So on the plus side, it definitely captured Mao's vision effectively. Short, direct statements, easy to memorize, easy to chant even.
Right.
And it really did act as a unifying symbol. It inspired millions, gave them a common language, a sense of shared purpose during a really chaotic time.
A focal point.
Exactly. And even now, for scholars, political scientists, it's still a key primary source. It gives you a direct look into that mid-20th century revolutionary thinking.
So it unified people, captured a vision. It's historically valuable. But what's the other edge of the sword?
Well, the flip side is that same simplicity. Because many of those quotes, while easy to repeat, are actually quite abstract.
Yeah.
Or repetitive, or just plain vague.
So open to interpretation or misinterpretation.
Or manipulation, exactly.
Yeah.
And when it was distributed en masse during the Cultural Revolution, the goal wasn't really deep critical thinking.
No.
It often seemed to encourage bypassing nuance altogether. It led more towards sort of blind obedience rather than thoughtful engagement.
Makes sense.
And if you read it today, especially comparing it to other major political works, it could feel much more like propaganda than deep philosophy. And yeah, despite being pushed as a practical guide, it's been heavily criticized as, a useful blueprint for actually running a country or making ethical decisions.
Yeah.
It told you what Mao said, but not always the complexities of how to apply it wisely.
So connecting this to the bigger picture then, it wasn't just a book people read. It sounds like it became an active tool, almost like you said earlier, a political weapon.
Precisely. That's not an exaggeration. It was very deliberately used to shore up Mao's authority, to build that massive cult of personality around him.
Right.
And really laid the ideological groundwork for the Cultural Revolution. The psychological effect was huge.
How so psychologically?
Well, carrying the book, quoting from it constantly, it was a public test of your loyalty. It created this intense atmosphere of conformity and, frankly, fear.
Fear?
Oh, yeah. If you didn't show enough devotion, if you didn't have your little red book, if you couldn't quote it, that could easily be seen as counter-revolutionary. as treasonous.
Wow, treasonous for not carrying a book. That's intense pressure.
Immense pressure. And philosophically, what's in the book, it's Mao's take on things, a mix of classic Marxist-Leninist ideas, but with very specific Chinese twists.
Like what kind of twists?
A big focus on the peasantry leading the revolution, not just urban workers. Also, heavy emphasis on self-reliance, standing up for China, and rejecting foreign imperialism, which resonated deeply given China's recent history.
And this impact, this wasn't just limited to China's borders, was it?
Not at all. That's another crucial part of its story. The Little Red Book was translated into tons of languages, distributed all over the world.
Really? Where did it catch on?
It had a significant influence on leftist groups, revolutionary movements, particularly across Asia, Africa, and Latin America in the 60s and 70s. It became a global symbol of anti-imperialism and revolution.
So we've traced its origins, its huge impact. Where does that leave us today? What does it all mean now? Is the Little Red Book just a historical artifact, or does it still hold some kind of relevance?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I'd say today, very few people are studying it for political guidance. You're not going to run a modern government based on it.
Right, probably not.
But its historical significance, that's massive, undeniable. It serves as this incredibly powerful reminder.
A reminder of what, specifically?
Well, partly the power of propaganda, for sure. But maybe more profoundly, how ideology, distilled down, can shape entire societies. How easily people might trade complex thought for simple, powerful slogans, especially in turbulent times, even if those slogans are vague enough to be twisted.
So, wrapping it up, quotations from Chairman Mao Tse-tung. It's not just some dusty old book. It was far more.
Absolutely. It was a political icon. It was treated like a revolutionary handbook. And it was, without a doubt, a cultural phenomenon that defined one of the most intense periods of the 20th century.
Yeah, and while the actual content might feel a bit simplistic or dated by today's standards, you just can't overstate its importance as the symbol of Maoist China.
Exactly. And that brings us to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
Think about how abstract ideas, big concepts about society, revolution, whatever, when they get boiled down into really simple, direct statements and then spread everywhere, how incredibly powerful they can become. Powerful enough to unify millions or divide them just as easily. Powerful enough to drive actions on a massive scale and really define an era. So maybe consider what similar kinds of influential texts or slogans or even symbols exist in our world today. And how do you think history might look back on their impact, say, 50 or 100 years from now?